Bhuvana Hussain? Patricia Sullick? Marilyn Matz? Oh, okay. Sue Shung, S-H-E-U-N-G. Last one. Alice Savage. Okay. Well, so we have some extras. So for people who want to play along, here, Paula, can I get you to circle those around? It doesn't, for these activities, actually probably doesn't matter that much that it's not your name. So, thank you. So, Diane's philosophy about networking and ours is really well aligned. One of the reasons we were excited to do this session. There are a lot of tools online and some face-to-face for sort of, if you want to find a particular person that's from a certain company and how do you hook up with them, and our tag has some of that. But actually the thing that we do best of all, I think better really than anything else that I've come across, is in what we call mixed networking. The kind of like, I need to go find that person from Microsoft. We call that directed networking. You've got this very specific goal. You want to hook up with a company or a particular person or a person of a particular type. But the other kind is mixed networking. And our basic philosophy of networking is if you can break people out of their sort of social like basins, like crevices that you get stuck in, then that's good. And those crevices can be that person that you're talking to on, that you've talked to enough, and you're ready to sort of move on, but you don't have a good way of getting out. Or that can be the people you came with. And honestly, more often than not, that's the basin that most people are stuck in. You know, we come to an event like this, we're excited about the possibility of meeting other people, but then I see Diane, and I'm kind of nervous, and so Diane and I kind of talk for a good chunk of the time. Maybe at the end we realize that that's all we've done, and we try and meet a few other people. But both of those are impediments to sort of circulating. And the more, you know, in our experience, and what we get from the data from these tags is that the more you circulate, the happier you are with your sort of network building. That by circulating, you do meet people who will ultimately be of value for you in your network. And you do it in a way that I think, like Diane's talking about, feels reasonably pleasant. Doesn't feel like, you know, the stakes aren't that high. It's not about, oh, we have to find business value right now, go. It's more like, let's find a way to have a productive conversation, and then maybe we'll move on. And we'll see whether that, you know, later on germinates into something bigger. But the stakes in that moment aren't that great. So the way that works on the tag is, so go ahead and flip your tag up if you have one. And if you're sitting next to someone who has one, just look on. And I'm hoping that some of you later on in the event will get one. But what we try and do, we have a lot of things to support that kind of mixed networking. But I think the one that's we're most famous for and is powerful is what we call common ground. And the way that works is you answer a couple questions, and then when you meet someone, you get some measure of what you have in common. And if you think, or some information about what you have in common. And if you think about that, like Diane's example of, hey, I'm 4, how old are you? This is what we do. We're all still kind of playing that game with each other. And sometimes the questions aren't even that good. You know, you sort of retreat to the Red Sox or the weather, silly kinds of things. But if they get you through the moment, that's okay. Many of us would rather get launched into something more substantive. And the challenge is, going on kind of long here, but bear with me for a minute. The challenge is that there's just necessarily awkward times. Psychologists talk about this notion of common ground. It's when you and I know something about each other, we sort of know how we think, we know what we know in common, and we can have this, you know, this conversation that we like having with our friends, conversations that might be rich with references and history and all kinds of things like that. When you meet someone new, you don't have any of that. Yet somehow to get to that, you have to converse. So that part of the conversation is awkward. And part of what the tag can do is kind of launch you in. And the way that works is if you flip your tag and go under, let's see here, down to About Me. You have to scroll down. Quick tutorial on the tags. It's got like an up-down button on it. It's got a left, which goes back, and a right, which is select. It's pretty similar probably to your cell phone. Actually has a touch screen too, but you don't need to use it for just navigating around the menu. So what I did is I clicked down and got to this point that says About Me on the menu. People who have a tag, did you find that okay? Anyone need any extra help? No? It's okay? All right. And I click on that, and then there is one that says My Profile. And I click on that. And, okay, so this is a little bit of a mix here because some of these are about sessions that I may or may not be attending. But mixed in here is a set of questions. I think the first one of which is, Disaster relief, not too interesting. Hopefully you're not thinking about disaster relief now. Yeah, best innovation. So about 5 questions down, there's a thing that says best innovation. And you can answer that question. Best innovation in the last 25 years. It says advanced batteries, cell phone, commercialized GPS. So the idea is you answer these questions, and let's keep going here. There's a bunch. Some of mine are filled out. I assume that's because I have no idea why, but I'm hoping yours aren't filled out if you haven't filled them out yourself. And there's one about, there's some that are sort of divisive, like actress. And you get 2 choices. It says, Angelina Jolie or Meryl Streep. And the idea is, if you have sort of strong feelings for one or the other, pick it. And if you don't answer at all. I've got beverage, beer or wine, coffee vendor, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. Like there's any debate that Dunkin' Donuts is the right coffee vendor. Diet type, organic or Doritos. Again, some of you may choose organic, but I don't want to talk to you. It goes on and on. So the point is, pick these questions, and then when someone has answered a set of those questions, raise your hand, and I will come over and we'll show what the tags do. You got a set of those over there? Awesome. So let's try this out here. Okay, so you and I meet. Hold your tag. So you hold your tag. Let's show you some good end tag hygiene here. You hold your tag in like name tag position, right? Like this. It has 2 modes, right? You all have seen this now. If I hold it like this, it flips up. It's got a little sensor in there. It works like a PDA. But around your neck, it knows it's a name tag. And now it's social. It works like a tag. And that's the whole thing. I think we have the only device that kind of moves between social and personal. So in social mode, you wear it on your neck. You don't have to really get too crazy with like smashing it towards the other people, although some people do. And you hold it up, and we get this little meter. Let's do that again. That was very fast. No, you're good. There we go. So I get this little meter that pops up. You see that? Oh, look at that. So you can see, let's do that again. That was great. So you can see that I'm getting, we call this the people meter. It's kind of a pun. You can see I'm getting 5 red lights and 2 green lights. That means we answered 5 of those questions differently and 2 the same. So I'm thinking you didn't like Dunkin' Donuts. I didn't. Okay, so that was one of the greens. So you get this immediate response about how much you have in common. And then the idea is after that, you can go and if you want to sort of play the game of going through what they were, often people just kind of get launched on that energy of having a lot in common or a lot not in common. But we have actually found through extensive clinical trial that it does, get you a little bit further along than if you start out with the cold sort of like, okay, well, where are you from and where you work and have you been to MIT before, blah, 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 blah. And I invite you to try that for yourself. Now, a little bit more end-tag hygiene here. So let's say that Karen and we talk for a few minutes, and it turns out that we have more in common than both liking Dunkin' Donuts, if that's not enough. And it turns out that she runs a company that does a lot of events, and she really wants to use these. I say, hey, that's great. So let's follow up. So the way we do that, okay, there's a button on top of your tag. This is all this button does. It's a card exchange button. You hold it down. We both hold it down. I look at her tag. It says card exchange with Karen. And I know that we're done. And now that card is actually going to get blasted to my own personal NTAG website. You get an email about where that is, and your cards are waiting for you. You can download them into Outlook. You can put them in a CSV file, however you manage your contacts. It's sort of easy to work with. And if you're really a killer user, you can also then flip your tag up, and you'll see under People, I'm going to click on that. I'm going to see that I have a note at the top that says Cards I've Received. All my info about Karen is right there. In fact, I can get her address right from here if I want. But I can also click through the menu and type a note about Karen. And on the back of the tag, and I won't get into this, but you can try it on your own, is a little pick. Looks like a little guitar pick. And you can tap on the on-screen keyboard. That's really what it's used for. A little note. But I say, oh, hey, Karen, I talked about, cafe mochas and 1 shot or 2 of espresso. And that note will wind up on my card and download into Outlook or whatever I want to do with it. That's quick NTAG hygiene lesson. One thing you'll find is that a lot of people think you have to exchange cards to have an interaction. Not the case. In fact, it's very different. If we just did that greeting that we did before, I don't wind up with her contact info. That's the whole idea is to make that very permissions-based, so you're not just broadcasting your contact info out.